I don't know when the last time was that you had a really significant fever. Maybe as a child, maybe recently, maybe it's been a while, or maybe you've cared for someone that's had a fever recently. But the thing about fevers, two things stand out for me in a feverish person. The first is kind of a fog or a delirium sets in, especially with a higher fever. You get up in the middle of the night, you can't sleep, and there's just a fog about the person that is feverish. Things aren't crisp. Sounds aren't as sharp. Things are closing in on your head. So foggy is something significant, a deliriousness. The second thing is there's, in an odd way, a singular focus during a time of fever. Inconsequential things that you may be worried about, you forget about them. You just want the fever to be gone. Significant things that you're concerned about or that are on your plate, you forget about those things. You want the fever to be gone. There's a singularity there. Inconsequential and consequential things kind of drift away, and the fever is all consuming. Jesus approaches right after he leaves the synagogue. Last weekend, he drove out the unclean spirit. He walks in, approaches Simon's mother-in-law, grasps her hand, and the fever leaves her. You know the relief when the fever breaks. Oh, you're sweating, and you can see again, you can breathe again, your hearing comes back, things are sharp, and you're hungry. And it says, she served them, she waited on him. Question maybe, she may have said, how may it be of service to you, Jesus? You and I are all feverish. And throughout our whole lives, fevers come and go. And I'm not talking about physical fever here, but the feverishness that just comes from living humanity, living our lives. Whether it's living with anxiety, sinfulness, whatever it is, things happen when we're feverish in spirit. When things occupy our minds and hearts, and we can see the symptoms of it more readily than we know we're actually feverish. The symptoms are, there is a fog. Sometimes we go through the day, things are not crisp. We're not hearing things. We walk about, why am I doing this right now? A little bit of forgetfulness, stringing one thing to the next, and not really paying attention. Something's preoccupying us. Again, it could be many things. Our wellness, someone else's wellness, something we're in the midst of, an addiction, we're gripped by something. There's one symptom, our own fogginess, our own delirium. The other one is the forgetfulness. Inconsequential things may no longer matter. Little niceties that we may have done in the past. Going to the coffee shop, saying hello to the person who serves us coffee, maybe 2 minutes of chit-chat before work. We just don't do that anymore. Maybe consequential things drop off when we're feverish. We forget real important relationships or conversations we're supposed to have, or forget some acts of lovingness and kindness toward others. And we want to get through the day. We simply just want to pass through the day, just to get it over with, and then we wake up, and then it's the next day. We want Jesus to approach. When he approaches you and I, and we're aware of the approach, and he's always approaching, and when we finally say, okay, the Lord is here, I want this fever to be gone, we get up like Simon's mother-in-law, and we say the same words effectively. How may it be of service, Jesus? And it's in some way simpler, but it's harder to string together day in and day out. How may it be of service to you? Because that's when the fever breaks, when our hearing becomes sharp again, our vision does, the fog lifts, we see other people and who they are, the dignity that they have. We take the time with people because the fog has lifted. We're more patient, more aware of their needs. Inconsequential and consequential things come back to our memory, little niceties, matters of greater importance. You know that person I used to call once a month, maybe my mom, my dad? Oh yeah, I'm going to get back on that track. Relationships that are important. One way to do this, it's something that I knew about as a kid, never practiced it, or if I did, it just kind of slid right through my eyes and ears. When you wake up in the morning, when I wake up in the morning, how do we offer ourselves? And I say this because there's that practice of the morning offering. Maybe you're familiar with it. I find the language of the traditional morning offering, it's beautiful, but it's not my language. It's a little stilted. I offer you, Jesus, my joys, sufferings, all those. You know the traditional prayer, and it's a beautiful, perfect prayer. But one way to show that the fever has broken, that Jesus has approached, Lord, right after the alarm goes off, whatever comes my way this day, I don't know. You know what's coming my way this day. I have a good idea. I'm going to work, all these things. But I will see it as your will, God's will for me, whatever comes to me this day. And I want to choose to enter into that consciously and offer it back to you, that in some way it bears fruit. And then at the end of the day, we look at the day and say, Jesus, how was I of service to you? Did I fulfill that offering in the morning? And sometimes we're batting 1,000, sometimes we're batting 300, sometimes a couple swings and a miss. But that's all right. We get up again and do it the next day. And then we string day after day. We realize whatever is given to us, the good, the bad, the joys, the sufferings, for that day, it's in some mystery God's permissive will for me. But I have a choice in how to enter into it. I can be feverish and simply want to get through the day, and I've been there so much of my life. Just want to get through the day, on to the next one, on to the weekend, on to this coronavirus when it's done. Or, Lord, whatever you bring me today, I can't go into the office. I don't have that normal interaction that I've had for years. It's a little stark, but this is your will for me today. I offer it back to you. And then our lives become a little sharper, the hearing increases, the anxiety that sometimes we're plagued by, and sometimes it's an unnameable anxiety or fear, drift away. Because Jesus and you, Jesus and I, are yoked together, and that is primary. And he knows what you really love in life, the relationships and the people, and you will enter more deeply into that. The mystery of Job's suffering, it's a mystery. He was a righteous man. He did everything right. It's a mystery. But I just propose today maybe a way to look at offering our mornings and looking back on our evenings, using Simon's mother-in-law's words, how may it be of service to you today, Jesus? And then at the end of the day, how was I of service to you? And let us all make a pact here tonight, no beating ourselves up, but every day getting up, Lord, whatever comes my way today is your will, I offer it back to you. I want to enter into it with you very consciously. And at the end of the day, we review it and we string them along and we live a deeper, more joyful, more attentive life.